They said it was over. A young woman lay in a hospital bed, her life slipping away while doctors shook their heads. Her family was told to prepare for the worst. But then, something remarkable happened. A young black doctor refused to accept defeat. Against every warning, against every doubt, he stepped forward with a decision that no one else dared to make. This was more than medicine. It was about courage, resilience, and proving that even in the face of despair, hope can rise again. The story begins with a young woman named Aaliyah. She was 24 years old, full of life, a daughter, a sister, and a friend whose laughter carried through the walls of her small home. She had grown up in a neighborhood that didn't always believe in miracles. The world had often told her that she would have to fight harder, dream bigger, and endure longer just to stand where others stood with ease. One evening, her world shifted. A sudden collapse at home led to a desperate rush to the hospital. The sirens cut through the night, carrying not only her fragile body, but the heavy weight of her family's prayers. Inside the hospital, the environment was cold, clinical, and filled with uncertainty. Machines beeped steadily. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead, and the family's anxious whispers filled the quiet waiting room. Doctors examined her case, but their verdict was grim. Her chances of survival were slim. The word struck like thunder. Prepare yourselves. But fate had placed another figure in this story. Dr. Marcus Reed, a young black physician barely in his early 30s, had recently completed his residency. Unlike many of his colleagues, he carried more than just a stethoscope. He carried the memory of his community, the resilience of his ancestors, and a determination to prove that brilliance knows no color. Yet, inside those walls, Marcus often felt unseen. Senior doctors dismissed his opinions, administrators questioned his experience, and whispers of doubt followed him like shadows. Still, he walked with a quiet fire. When Aaliyah's case landed in his care, the odds were already against him. She was declared a lost cause by those with more years and higher titles. But when Marcus looked at her chart, and then at the trembling hands of her mother, something stirred inside him. He couldn't walk away. He wouldn't. The days that followed were a battlefield. Aaliyah's condition worsened, her body growing weaker, while the pressure on Marcus mounted. His colleagues advised him not to intervene, telling him it was wasted effort. They urged him to move on to more manageable patients. But Marcus couldn't. Every time he walked past her room and saw her mother praying by the bedside, he knew surrender was not an option. He dug deep into research, combing through medical journals, and consulting mentors who had once believed in him. He crafted a treatment plan that was bold, unconventional, and risky, but was grounded in hope and in the quiet belief that miracles sometimes were the face of persistence. Outside the hospital walls, Marcus also fought another battle against the biases that had followed him since medical school. He remembered the times he had been told he was too ambitious, or that he had only been accepted to programs because of diversity quotas. He carried those scars, but instead of letting them weaken him, he sharpened them into tools of resilience. Each day, he returned to Aaliyah's bedside. He monitored her progress, adjusted treatments, and refused to accept defeat. Slowly, faintly, signs of change began to appear. Her heart grew stronger, her breathing steadier, her body fighting back against the darkness that threatened to consume it. But victory was not guaranteed. There were nights when the monitors beeped dangerously, when Marcus questioned his own judgment, when the weight of responsibility threatened to crush him. In those moments, he reminded himself of why he had chosen this path: to save lives, to break barriers, to prove that no door would remain closed forever. The night of the turning point came unexpectedly. Aaliyah's condition took a sharp dive. Machines blared warnings. Nurses rushed in and panic filled the room. Senior doctors were quick to declare that it was over, but Marcus stood firm. With steady hands and unwavering focus, he initiated his treatment plan, one that others had mocked and dismissed. Time seemed to slow. Every second was critical. Every decision was a line between life and death. His mind raced, but his heart remained steady. He fought, not only against the illness, but against the weight of centuries of doubt that whispered that people like him didn't belong in positions of power. Minutes felt like hours, but slowly, miraculously, Aaliyah's vitals stabilized. The blaring alarms quieted, her breathing evened, and the storm began to pass. The room, once filled with despair, now carried a heavy silence, a silence broken only by the rhythmic beeping of life fighting its way back. The impossible had happened. The young black doctor who was underestimated, doubted, and overlooked had achieved what others believed could not be done. In the days that followed, Aaliyah's condition improved steadily. She opened her eyes, weak but alive, and for the first time, her family's tears were joy. The hospital buzzed with disbelief and awe. Whispers turned into conversations, and conversations into recognition. Dr. Marcus Reed had not only saved a life, he had shattered a ceiling. He had shown that brilliance, courage, and compassion are not bound by race, age, or status. He had carried the weight of expectation and turned it into a triumph that no one could deny. But for Marcus, the victory wasn't about glory or recognition. It was about the young woman who would go home to her family, the mother whose prayers had been answered, and a quiet message sent to every young black boy and girl who dared to dream of becoming more. This story is not just about medicine. It's about perseverance, representation, and the power of refusing to accept limits placed by others. It is about how one act of courage can ripple through time, reminding us all that hope is never truly lost. So I ask you this: how many lives have been left behind because voices like Marcus's were ignored? And how much more could we achieve if we finally learned to listen, to trust, and to believe in the brilliance that has always been here? This is more than a story. This is a reminder that courage is contagious, that resilience is revolutionary, and that every voice, when fearless, can change the world.